My name is Nicole. I'm sitting at my desk, holding my gratitude journal, still trying to process what just happened. The office around me is slowly returning to normal, with the familiar sounds of keyboards clicking, phones ringing, and quiet conversations about project deadlines and weekend plans. But everything feels different now. Just a short while ago, I was unwrapping my turkey sandwich in the break room when I saw two compliance officers in navy blazers with clipboards standing outside my cubicle. My heart didn't race. I just knew that Stella Thompson had finally pulled the trigger. Stella and I work at a major tech company. I've been here for 5 years, handling high-profile client accounts. Messing up in my role can cost the company millions of dollars. Stella joined the company 8 months after me. She comes from a wealthy family in Silicon Valley. Her parents are venture capitalists, always pushing her to be the best. They're demanding and competitive, which has made Stella extremely self-centered. From day one, Stella made it clear that she thought my position should be hers. She had an insatiable need to be the smartest person in the room. During important client calls, she'd interrupt me to clarify points I'd already explained perfectly. In emails, she'd CC our supervisor, correcting non-existent grammar mistakes. She'd volunteer for my projects and then suggest changes that made no sense. What really irked her was that I was low-key about my successes. When I landed a multi-million-dollar deal, I didn't brag about it in team meetings. When clients sent thank you notes, I didn't share them with the whole department. I just focused on my work and went home. This drove Stella crazy because she couldn't compete with something she couldn't see. So she started watching me like a hawk. She'd note my arrival and break times and how long I took for lunch. She'd casually walk past my desk to peek at what I was working on. She'd ask seemingly innocent questions about my methods and then imply that I was doing things wrong. I realized what was going on early on. Stella wasn't just competitive. She was building a case against me. She needed me to fail so she could take my place. That's when I decided to give her what she wanted. I started making small mistakes like sending an email with the wrong meeting date and correcting it later, filing a document in the wrong folder and fixing it the next day. These weren't real errors. They were breadcrumbs for her. Sure enough, Stella devoured them. She started keeping a folder labeled Nicole's Performance Documentation. I saw it when she left it open on her computer screen while she went to the bathroom. Inside were printed emails, screenshots of my computer, and handwritten notes about my supposed incompetence. Meanwhile, I started a gratitude journal. I got the idea from a self-improvement podcast. Every evening before leaving work, I'd write down 3 positive moments from my day, like a client thanking me for solving their problem, a co-worker helping me with a difficult code, or a supervisor complimenting my presentation. I kept the journal in my desk drawer, a small leather notebook filled with genuine appreciation for the positive interactions at work. Month after month, I filled page after page. People like Tom from IT, who stayed late to help me troubleshoot a system issue, and Lisa from marketing, who shared valuable insights during a project meeting, were frequently mentioned. Our strict supervisor, Mr. Harris, also appeared regularly for his fair feedback and clear guidance. But one name never showed up: Stella. In 18 months of journaling, through hundreds of entries about positive workplace interactions, Stella had never done anything worth acknowledging. She was like a black hole in the office, sucking up energy and attention without giving anything positive in return. 6 months after I started the journal, Stella made her move. One Tuesday morning, she requested a meeting with Mr. Harris and the compliance department. She presented her carefully organized folder of my so-called performance issues and demanded a formal investigation into my work quality and professional conduct. Mr. Harris listened to her presentation, reviewed her evidence, and authorized a compliance inspection. Stella specifically requested that the inspection happen while I was at lunch, so I couldn't prepare or hide anything. That's how I ended up watching the compliance officers rummage through my workspace. One was photographing my computer screen, which showed a well-organized project management system. The other was opening my desk drawers, wearing latex gloves as if I was contaminated. I walked over and asked, "Find anything interesting?" The taller officer looked up and said, "Miss Johnson, We're conducting a routine inspection based on reports of workplace violations. I knew exactly what reports he meant and who filed them. Stella was hovering a few cubicles away, pretending to organize papers while watching everything. The officers were thorough. They examined my filing cabinet, which had meticulously labeled folders in alphabetical order. They reviewed my email correspondence, which demonstrated clear and professional communication. Then, the shorter officer opened my desk drawer and pulled out my gratitude journal. "What's this?" he asked. "Personal notes," I replied. "Just some thoughts about work." He flipped through a few pages and then nodded to his partner. They had a silent conversation with their eyes. "Miss Johnson, would you mind if we reviewed this notebook more thoroughly? It seems to have workplace observations relevant to our investigation," the taller officer asked. "Of course," I said. "Take all the time you need." What happened next was unforgettable. The officer sat down at my desk and started reading my journal from the beginning. They studied each entry carefully, sometimes pointing at passages and whispering to each other. As time passed, other people in the office started to notice. Conversations quieted down as colleagues realized something significant was happening at my cubicle. Stella moved closer, trying to see what had the officers so engrossed. After 20 minutes, the shorter officer looked up at me and asked, "How long have you been keeping this journal?" "About 18 months, I replied. He then asked if the entries were authentic, and I assured him they were just genuine moments of appreciation. The officers exchanged a look, and then the taller one walked over to Stella, who was pretending to organize files. "Miss Thompson, could we speak with you privately for a moment?" I watched Stella's face change as she realized things weren't going as planned. The three of them went into the small conference room at the end of the floor. Through the glass walls, I could see them talking, but I couldn't hear what was being said. Stella's expression shifted from confident to confused to panicked. They were in there for almost 30 minutes. When they finally came out, Stella looked like she'd been crying. The officers returned to my desk. "Miss Johnson, after reviewing the evidence and examining your workspace and documentation, we're closing this investigation with no findings of misconduct or policy violations," the shorter officer said. Relief washed over me, but I knew there was more. The taller officer continued, "We do want to discuss some concerns that came to light during our review." He opened my gratitude journal to a middle page and showed it to me. "In 18 months of documenting positive workplace interactions, you've mentioned 63 different people, but Miss Thompson's name appears 0 times. I said quietly that it wasn't intentional. I just wrote down genuine moments of appreciation. If someone wasn't in the journal, it was because they never did anything worth appreciating." The shorter officer said they understood and thought Stella understood too. They closed the journal and handed it back to me. The taller officer said, "The irony is that she was so focused on documenting your mistakes that she never considered how her own behavior looked from the outside. Your journal inadvertently created a record of workplace relationships that reveals more about office dynamics than any performance review." As they walked away, I heard one of them say, 18 months and not a single positive mention. Can you imagine being that consistently negative? I didn't see Stella for the rest of the day. Her cubicle was empty until closing time. I guessed she went home early, either to process what had happened or to avoid the looks from co-workers. But the next morning, she was back. She arrived at 9 o'clock sharp, said quiet hellos, and sat down at her computer without her usual show-off behavior. I thought maybe the compliance investigation had given her some perspective. However, 3 days later, Tom from IT stopped by my desk during his coffee break. "Hey, Nicole," he said in a low voice. "Can I ask you something strange? Stella's been asking people about your journal. She's trying to make it sound creepy, like you're spying on people." I felt a chill in my chest. I asked if anyone was convinced, and Tom shook his head. "Most people think she's reaching, but she's persistent and good at planting seeds of doubt." I realized I had a choice. I could confront Stella directly, but that would make me look defensive. Instead, I decided to be transparent. The next Monday, I sent an email to the whole department titled Personal Journal, Transparency and Consent. I explained that the journal was personal, a way for me to focus on positive moments at work. I said I'd respect anyone's preference not to be included. To my surprise, The responses were mostly positive. Colleagues like Lisa and Tom encouraged me to keep writing. Mr. Harris also sent a long email praising my transparency and professionalism. Over the next week, something wonderful happened in the office. People started practicing gratitude more openly. Lisa left thank you notes on people's desks, and Tom brought donuts to share. Mr. Harris began team meetings by acknowledging someone's outstanding work. But Stella couldn't adapt. She tried to say thank you more often, but it sounded forced. Her compliments came out as backhanded remarks. She even started her own gratitude practice, but it was all about herself. 3 weeks after my email, Mr. Harris called me into his office. Nicole, I want to thank you for introducing this gratitude practice. The change in morale has been remarkable, he said. Then he mentioned that the new focus on workplace relationships had highlighted some concerning patterns with one team member. He showed me a list of incidents where Stella had caused conflicts, undermined colleagues, or disrupted projects. He said the compliance investigation was the final straw. Using company resources for a personal vendetta is unacceptable, he said. Stella was moved to a different department where her individual skills could be used without the need for much team collaboration. It wasn't a demotion, but it was a recognition that she wasn't suited for our collaborative environment. I felt a mix of relief and sadness. Relief that the toxic dynamic was finally addressed, and sadness that it had come to this. Mr. Harris said, "The irony is that Stella's investigation into your work led us to discover that you're one of our most valued team members. Your gratitude journal demonstrated the respect and appreciation you've earned." 2 months later, I heard that Stella had requested a transfer to our company's branch in another city. I genuinely wished her well, understanding that her behavior was more about her own insecurities than about me. My gratitude journal is still on my desk. I still write in it every evening. It's no longer just about my own positivity. It's a reminder that how we treat others matters, that kindness leaves a mark, and that authenticity always wins in the end.